They say the lake is cursed, that something waits beneath its surface, watching, waiting, calling. Those who hear the whisper never return the same, if they return at all. One boy thought it was just a story. He was wrong, very wrong. What happened that night has haunted the village for generations, and if you listen closely, you might still hear his scream echoing across the water. They say the lake is cursed, that beneath its still waters lies something ancient, something watching. The villagers whisper about the Lady of the Lake, a ghostly figure who roams the shore under the pale moonlight. Her wet gown trailing behind her, her voice a whisper on the wind. No one knows exactly when the legend began, but everyone knows the rules. Never go near the lake after dark. Never answer if you hear your name being called from the water. Most importantly, never ever make eye contact with the lady. There was once a boy named Daniel, young, reckless, and skeptical of ghost stories. He had heard all the warnings, but he didn't believe in things that couldn't be explained. So when his friends dared him to visit the lake at midnight, he accepted without hesitation. The night was cold, the trees stood like silent sentinels, and the water was unnervingly still, reflecting the full moon like a giant, unblinking eye. Daniel stood at the edge of the water, smirking. He picked up a stone and tossed it in, watching as the ripples disturbed the surface. That's when he heard it. A faint whisper, his name spoken so softly it could have been the wind. He turned sharply, his heart pounding. There was nothing there. He laughed nervously, calling out that he wasn't afraid. But then, from the darkness, came a reply. "You should be." His breath hitched. The voice was close, too close. He turned back to the water, and that's when he saw her. A woman standing waist deep in the lake, her long dark hair dripping down her pale face. Her eyes were wide, empty, staring directly at him. His body froze, his instincts screaming at him to run, but he couldn't look away. Her lips parted, and she whispered again, "Come closer." Daniel felt an invisible force pulling him forward, his feet sinking into the muddy shore. He struggled to move back, but it was as if the ground had turned to quicksand. The woman's lips curled into a slow, unnatural smile, and then she moved, gliding towards him without disturbing the water. Panic set in, his breathing ragged. He screamed, but the sound barely left his throat. Then, just as she was inches away, she raised a hand, and with a sudden, violent force, he was yanked into the water. The cold was unbearable, an icy grip tightening around his limbs. He thrashed, but the more he struggled, the deeper he sank. He opened his mouth to scream, but only water rushed in, filling his lungs with freezing darkness. His vision blurred, and in the dim, moonlit depths, he saw her. The Lady of the Lake, her face twisted with something between rage and sorrow, her grip tightening around his wrist. And then, just before everything went black, he heard her voice one last time. "You should have listened." By the time the villagers found Daniel's body, it was too late. He was floating near the shore, his face frozen in an expression of sheer terror. No one could explain how he had drowned in such shallow water, nor why his wrist bore the marks of ice-cold fingers. But the villagers knew the truth. The Lady of the Lake had claimed another soul. Some say she was once a woman betrayed and drowned by the one she loved, cursed to wander the waters forever, seeking vengeance. Others believe she is something far older, something that has always been there, waiting for those foolish enough to tempt fate. And still, on quiet nights, when the wind is just right, you might hear a whisper from the water, calling a name that isn't yours until it is.